expired. The chair recognizes the gentlelady from Maryland, Ms. Elfreth, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Secretary, for being here. We've talked a lot today about issues that are incredibly pressing: national parks, energy generation, public access. I want to lend my voice to many of those. But I'm going to first focus my time on the individuals who deliver those services for the American people and taxpayers. So it's my understanding that on February 14th, your department fired nearly 2,000 employees in critical positions, ranging from frontline park staff to scientists who prepare our public lands for extreme weather to employees who assist in addressing wildfires. Federal courts have since ordered agencies to reverse many of these wrongful terminations, and your department indicated in federal court filings last month that you had begun reinstating probationary employees. And just for the record, I want to state probationary simply means they were so brand new and eager in their public service, or they were so good at their public service they received a promotion. So first, can you tell this committee how many of these employees have been reinstated at Interior, and what employees who were fired in error have been rehired?
I believe that nearly everyone that was involved in that action has been extended an offer. I don't know specifically how many of them refused to return to their jobs, but we followed the court order to reinstate those jobs.
I'm glad to hear that. Could we possibly get that response in writing, those numbers in writing?
Yeah,
As soon as
I'm sure,
possible?
yep.
Thank you. And I completely appreciate that DOGE has a tendency to shoot first and aim second. So now that you have your feet under you as secretary, your busy season is just beginning. Can you give this committee any insight into your greatest personnel needs, and if you can commit to prioritizing those who have been fired in filling those greatest personnel needs?
Well, I think the place that we're focused on right now to want everybody to tell their constituents is that while we have added 6,100 summer staff, we still have some open recs for summer roles in the national parks. And so if anybody's looking to join the National Park Service for a summer temporary job, positions are still open.
We will share that with our constituents. Thank you. I want to move on to a program we haven't yet discussed today, which is the Historic Preservation Fund, something near and dear to my heart and my district. Congress appropriated $168 million in funding for the HPF this year, but we're 9 months into the fiscal year, and that money has yet to be released. It's frankly an unacceptable delay in funds that were bipartisanly appropriated by Congress, and it's resulted, as I'm sure you know, in states like Ohio and Arizona either firing staff or, in one case, shuttering their historic preservation offices completely. In your Appropriations Committee hearing testimony, you said you're, quote, waiting on the apportionment to come out of OMB, yet OMB has recently told preservation advocates that the FY25 HPF is being held up by the White House for review. Can you give us any insight which office is holding that critical funding up?
I don't know exactly where it's held up, but we'll dig into that. I
appreciate that. We're entering almost the 250th anniversary of this country's founding, and so those funds are critical in telling all the stories of Americans. I do want to move on, or keep on the Historic Preservation Fund just for a minute. You said in front of House Appropriations that Interior is focused on streamlining our core business operations, which will result in improved efficiencies and lower costs for American taxpayers. But I'm sure you know that those historic preservation funds are not actually taxpayer dollars. They didn't come from my taxes. They come from offshore drilling lease revenues paid for by oil and gas companies. So where is that money going, or where is it sitting right now? We're talking about, again, $168 million that should be directed to HPF, and it's just sitting somewhere.
I don't want to say that you lost me a little bit on where the fund that the 168 came from.
It comes from oil and gas lease revenues, not from taxpayers.
And you're saying that's held up somewhere?
That's what entirely my understanding makes up historic preservation funds, is those lease revenues, not your and my taxpayer dollars.
Gotcha.
So I'm just curious where that $168 million is sitting right now.
I'll dig into that.
Okay, I would greatly appreciate. Again, there's some urgency here. States are shutting down their offices. This is a federal-state partnership, and again, we're coming up on a critical deadline. I'm just going to close out, and I appreciate your willingness to prioritize the rehiring of folks who were fired. I represent 44,000 federal employees in my district in Maryland, some of whom are your employees as well. And I just, Mr. Chair, I'm very sincere about you prioritizing those when you are restructuring, when you are rehiring, to respect the civil servants who have given of themselves and their families to this nation. And with that, I yield back.